Yes, we're back. Fantastic. Sorry, I don't know what we've had microphone problems. Is that better now?
You can say we're back, but we were never there to start with.
It would be great if somebody could just give us confirmation in the chat that you can hear us. It says that you can. There's audio's right there. Oh my god. Fantastic. That is great news. Okay, so hello. Sorry about that, and welcome to the wonderful world of live streaming. So, good to be here, and welcome to our tour of France. Thanks for standing there.
Absolutely.
We've got a very ill Jamie here, so I'm in the danger zone being this close to him, but,
everybody's fine.
he'll be a
Everybody's fine.
professional.
I've drunk more Lemslip than I have wine today, so it is what it is.
Hints of blackcurrant.
Hints of blackcurrant, hints of lemon. I've got all my tasting notes going. But anyway, I think what the most important thing to do is, as we introduce our Tour of France, we should get wine number one in the glass, just so we've got something to get going.
Let's do that.
So what I've tried to do a little bit this month, and once again, it depends how wine geeky you are, because some people go, "Oh, this is all basic standard stuff for me." But what I've tried to do is do some bits and pieces that are a little bit different, a little bit out of the norm, that kind of stuff. So the first wine we're doing today, and just so we can start tasting. We're doing a Beaujolais, and I think when we talk about Beaujolais, we generally think Nouveau, we generally think red.
And I generally start sweating and panicking.
Alex is generally very upset.
Yeah.
So we thought we'd do a little bit of white today. So for a couple of little things, for those who are joining us for the first time, we've got our Slido, which Alex will pop up, that you're able to go on and pop your tasting notes in. So you can join at towtc.co.uk/taste. Or scan the QR code, or whatever you like to do, and you can start popping your tasting notes in there. So we're doing a little bit of a tour of France. Some things a little bit different. We're going down to Bandol, which is very famous for its rosés, but we're going to do a red wine from there. We're going to head to Corsica. We're going to go to the Rhone Valley. When you think Rhone Valley, we usually think, Northern Rhone is Hermitage Condrieu. Southern Rhone is more kind of blends. We're going to do a Crozes Hermitage from there. So, and, lots of different bits and pieces. So feel free to get tasting, get your tasting notes in. Let us know what you think. Alex is going to keep poking at technology rather than do the wine tasting, because he's a geek like that. And we'll go from there. So first things first, we're in Beaujolais, which, as far as France goes, is on the very southern tip of Burgundy. Famous for making Gamay, famous for making Aligoté. For its white is generally what you find. The original Kir Royale was made with Aligoté. So it was Cassis and Aligoté was the original. Sorry, the original Kir. Yes, and then Kir Royale was making it sparkling
fizz. Yes,
but the original Kir was Aligoté. And there was, I can't remember who it was because I go off these tangents. There was someone who once said, if I ever find Aligoté, and it was a king or a prince or a ruler, said, if I ever find Aligoté growing in Burgundy, it was like treason. It was death sentence. So it ended up being.
They're good at sort of strong opinions in that part of the world. That is for sure. But yeah, Beaujolais, I freely admit it's not my favourite, and but I did not know they made Beaujolais whites, so I'm intrigued to try this one. I think the soils are super interesting. Oh, that's quite cool, isn't it?
Absolutely. So, but rather than this being Aligoté, which you expect, this is 100% Chardonnay. So it is, and I could very
like
upset
Chardonnay.
Here.
So
there's a lot of
lemon and honey. Nice.
People saying that Beaujolais is now part of Burgundy, which technically it can be, but it's.
That's
a bone of contention for Mr. Taylor.
It is, yeah.
But yeah, so this is Dominique Morel. Ticks the boxes. It's vegetarian, it's vegan, it does those kind of cool things, and they're just north of Fleury, so it's in that kind of like Cru areas of Beaujolais. So Beaujolais sits in lots of different categories, and I think it got a bit of a bad rap because Beaujolais Nouveau, it's it's celebrating the first vintage of the new year in the northern hemisphere. And, the Beaujolais run still goes on today, but it used to be a massive thing. People would race down to Beaujolais to be the first person back with a case of wine. unfortunately, with globalization now, that wine gets shipped to people before Beaujolais Nouveau, and then it's available for people to taste on Beaujolais Nouveau. But that was a very
it's got a very divisive
very
winemaking technique.
soft, bubblegummy, fruity,
Yeah.
not particularly structured, but very drinkable.
Because
style.
if you read our little section that I've written in the middle about red winemaking, that doesn't really apply to Beaujolais Nouveau because they do this technique called carbonic maceration, which is all about trying to get all of the flavors out of the wine super, super fast so that you can have this young wine still be drinkable, still have some character to it. And it's a bit softer because they've used this maceration process. And Beaujolais Day is indeed, Nouveau Day is indeed this Thursday. So
you know what? I'm giving up. We're just not going to do the quiz. We're just not going to do the quiz. That's one question already gone. So there's only 6 questions this month. So that's one down.
It's a really nice wine. I'm really enjoying this.
But I think this showcases that we can taste wines that we don't expect to find. We don't expect Chardonnay from Beaujolais.
It's quite mineral, isn't it, as well?
It's very mineral. It's got this lovely salinity to it. It's got this lovely texture. But you just look how many different, when we talk about, either WSET or Quartermaster Sommeliers, your tasting grids, how many of the different clusters that you're
we're in. Yeah, which cluster does Lemsip come under? Just out of interest.
Well, it depends, doesn't it? Because it could come under citrus if you're going with that, or it could be under your kind of your dark fruits if you're on a blackcurrant kind of flavour. So, but I'm glad there's a jokers in the chat. It brightens everything.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So
but I actually quite like Aligoté as well. I'm partial to. I really like whites from this part of the France, whether it's in the Beaujolais region or Burgundy. It would certainly, of course. But so we're slightly to the south of Burgundy. When we're talking about Chardonnay from Burgundy, we often talk about the northern part, like Chablis, which is actually kind of up on its own little thing, just very quite out of Burgundy almost. But those northern ones are a little bit more crisp, a little bit more kind of mineral side, and the southern ones, like as you go down to like Marceau or something like that,
you get to Macon, you get Coche-Chalonnaise, you get that far up, and what you've got to think about is Burgundy is long and thin, so there's a large amount of latitude changes. There's a lot of climate change when you go from the very, very north in Chablis, where you're closer to Champagne, and then when you get all the way to the south, you're actually closer to the Rhone Valley.
That's crazy,
really.
Wow.
So you go, what are you going to get style-wise?
That's why you get such a
you go, well, stylistically, white wines in the Rhone, and I know they're different grapes, but they're richer, they're more unctuous, they've got more texture.
Well, you get those really
and
tropical.
Then you go Chablis in the north is very crisp, linear, mineral, much more like a champagne kind of thing. So, Beaujolais, those whites can sit in that kind of that nice, richer kind of style, but still, enough freshness, enough mineral. Don't laugh.
Try not to die. Try not to die.
I'm absolutely fine. I'll live.
Yeah, it's. I'm surprised by it because it's a lot more mineral than I'd be expecting from something like a Marceau or those more southern ones.
But the thing with this, what they do is they harvest early morning when it's still really cold.
Yeah.
To keep that freshness, keep that acidity, keep that. So if you did this in the middle afternoon where it was a little bit warm, it would oxidize like that. You'd have this richer, over the top style. It'd be flabby. It loses weightiness. And as Kathy says, Chardonnay
really versatile.
It's I think probably second to Sauvignon Blanc. It takes on the place that it's from. It's when you talk about being able to pick and choose where something's from. Sauvignon, I think, is a very easy grape to take an indicator of where it could be from. Chardonnay is probably second to that.
I actually quite. I mean, I find placing Chardonnay was actually when I was doing sort of blind tasting. I found it relatively useful in the hints it gives you as to what the climate it's come from is, and it's a bit less kind of out there and crazy than Sauvignon is, but you certainly can tell the difference between a cool climate Chardonnay from a warm climate Chardonnay. And this one really surprises me because I would have expected it to be into that warmer climate, but yeah, intriguing, really nice wine,
nice richness,
cool thing to start.
Yeah.
So this is the thing, and we're on this tour, we're going around a few of the parts of France, which, yes, we go there, but what I like what you've done in terms of trying to make it a little bit different and interesting, because it's just so easy. Like, we could have just done a Languedoc Pinot Noir, and we could have done a Bordeaux blend from Bordeaux, and all of the kind of classic French things.
Côte de Rhône, Chablis, Sancerre.
Yeah. But you all know what those wines taste like, so this is why we're having a bit of fun tonight.
So, all right then. So
let us know if that's what you want.
Because you're in on this blindish. What are you eating with this? Without looking at my tasting notes.
It's not in that kind of space where I'd go for like that sort of roasted chicken or anything like that. That's interesting. Good question.
Pause for thought.
Yeah, I'm going to pause for thought on that one.
I think this is a very good cheese board wine. Very good cheese was where wine.
I was going.
That classic, like, aged cheddar, that's got that crystalline salinity running through it. Proper, like, cloth-bound cheddar. That would be my kind of thing.
Yeah, I think cheese would work phenomenally with this, but it's got so much fruitiness in there, which obviously works with things like that. That it starts when I'm thinking main course. It's a little bit tricky for me to work out what I'd do with that.
Yeah, for me, this almost isn't a main course wine. It's either a starter wine with scallops or an after main course with cheese wine.
Yeah.
It doesn't sit as a main course wine.
If
only you could order it in pouches and just have half a glass with your starter, right.
Oh, you can have some Poussin as well, so very nice. Excellent. And another comment from Kathy, that a New Zealand Chardonnay, that's mean. That's not. I mean, it's.
But it's a region you need to know.
You need to know.
Hawke's Bay is making good Chardonnays. There's good Chardonnays,
and a little bit further up north as well. Really, we've had some wonderful ones. But Struck Match is a really.
I like Helen's point there that it's just very easy drinking.
It's
it's one of those that. And what's interesting about this, okay? Because I'm going to put this in there because wine is sometimes a different, especially when it gets to this time of year. Yeah, this time of year when people want to get together for Christmas and grab a bottle of wine and chat. And there's some people like us that are wine geeks and go, "Oh, look what I've got! I've got this." It was, there's only 12 bottles made. Blah, 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 blah. This, I think, is the ideal bottle of wine to take round to see friends because the wine geek in you can talk about all these tasting notes and all that weird stuff, whatever, yeah? But the person who's not the wine geek can just go, this is just lovely and drinkable and good. And wine's got to cross those planes, especially in the holiday season.
I think the art for me of a nice wine is one where it doesn't just taste the same as everything else. This stands out and it's interesting, but it is still easy drinking and nice. And it's not like I'm going to shut off because it's yet another Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc, which tastes of what that tastes like.
And it's a Chardonnay of difference. It's not Burgundy, it's not California. It's got its own kind of profile, which I think is really cool.
And apparently it goes brilliant with Poussin.
I feel very left out that I don't have a Poussin, but it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Maybe I have a Poussin for Thanksgiving next week.
Maybe. Is that downsizing from the turkey because of the budgetary cuts and things?
Well, no, the fact that my children won't eat it, will they?
Well, that's a fair point. Well, do you know what? We should briefly mention the budget because
we should get what? We should get wine number 2 in a glass before you stop.
Well, yeah. But if you haven't heard, the budget, which obviously famously saves you 1 pence off a pint of beer, having previously put all of the other costs of serving you a pint of beer up, the situation for wine is pretty diabolical. We had to look at the amount of tax that you're going to be paying on a pretty typical bottle of like 13.5%, 14% wine, and it's gone up pretty much 50% in the last 18 months. And that is a really crazy situation. But it's beyond that. It's the fact that And this isn't the Labour government's fault. This was actually introduced by Jeremy Hunt and Rishi Sunak. They have introduced a different category for every different banding of alcohol percentages, which bizarrely is a Brexit freedom, which they've taken advantage of because the European Union said, don't be stupid. And they were right on this one. And so we have created the world's most complicated and I think the second most expensive alcohol taxes in the world. And it's uniquely seems to be applied to wine because, well, screw us, right? You know?
Yeah.
And the hilarious thing is that they did the first part of this tax rise before the Labour government got in, increasing the wine duty by a significant amount, but at least keeping it a bit simpler. What they have done is by raising the tax, they have introduced themselves to something called the Laffer curve, which says that as you increase the tax rate, you don't necessarily get any more money. And what's happened is that it has dropped the overall amount of money they've raised on alcohol tax because it screwed everybody in the wine industry's sales so badly. So the wine industry is having a shocking time. And what Tim Atkin, the Master of Wine, is suggesting is that we send a little message to Rachel Reeves saying, this wasn't your mistake. You know, you've got a chance to fix this. And what he is doing is he is suggesting keep the caps off the
either the capsule that you take off there or your screw cap,
and send a few of those in the post to Rachel Reeves's office
just to show how much we enjoy a glass of wine.
So anyway, political rant over. How much does the tax? Yeah, so there you go. 0.5 bans, but 0.1 on the label, despite the fact that there's a kind of a loose allowance of a 1.5% in each direction, 1.5 percentage points in each direction on the alcohol. So it's just such a nightmare for administration. So how does it hurt the English wine producers? So they dropped the tax on sparkling wine. That was their little bit of a gift to English wine producers who obviously make a lot of sparkling wine. And also it's not a brilliant... I mean, a lot of the English wines are at lower alcohol percentages, which don't suffer quite so badly. If you're doing... There's a real drop-off at about sort of 8.5%.
Yeah.
And so we're going to see a lot of wines next year that are coming out around 8.5%. And if you are astute, look in your supermarket at the wine alcohol percentages. You will see that they're all starting to drop quite noticeably. Now, some of that is just lying. It's just lying. It hasn't dropped at all. But a lot of it is they're putting pressure on the winemakers make lower alcohol wines. Of course, that was the intention.
What's interesting, and we'll stop after this, is
I'll move the tasting notes on.
Is the fact that we're going to see wineries make two different wines. They're going to make the wine that they want to make, and then they're going to make a wine for the English market.
Yeah,
not dissimilar to them. You know, there's wineries that now have two bottling lines, one for screw cap, one for corks, depending on the market they're going into. So someone's going to make this lovely wine at 14%
because that's what the grapes came in.
And then there's going to be a slightly de-alkalized or picked early or something like that version for the UK market, so it can be price competitive.
Yeah. It's.
But anyway, this is a
bit political for us.
This is some gros manseng,
yeah,
and some petit manseng.
It's not like you're right. 15.49 is 15%, but I think there's a little bit more creative accounting going on with some of these. But yeah, it's. What are your choices as a winemaker when you're told by your buyers, I want to have a lower alcohol wine? One is obviously de-alcoholizing the wine. Very expensive process and really only used for these kind of fully de-alcoholized wines or the session wines. Some people are calling them that sort of 8.5%. But the only other options you've really got are, do we pick the grapes earlier? Okay, you can pick the grapes earlier.
Or we just drink German Moselle Riesling forever.
Yeah, you can stop the ferment midway through and leave a bunch of sugar that would have turned into alcohol. That's one option. Or you can go and start, doing things in the vineyard to spray things like kaolin clay onto the leaves of the vine that basically acts like sunscreen and allows you to get the kind of flavour ripeness from grapes that we want to. We want to get into those more developed flavours, but we don't necessarily want the sugar. So that's one of your other options. Hugely expensive thing, and why would they do that for just the UK? They're probably not going to. So yeah, a bit of a mess. Anyway, what's this wine? Number 2. We've got apple, pear, and almond. Jurançon.
So we are the Jurançon Sec. So we are down in the very southwesty west part of France, almost on the Pyrenees foothills is where we're at. Not Jurançon, not to be confused with Jura, which is in the southeast of France. So this is 2 grapes grown there. Petit Manseng,
below the Languedoc.
Gros Manseng.
Yeah.
And I just think this is a very textural, savoury style of wine. Not massive amounts of fruit. For a young wine, it feels a very tertiary-led, caramelly, nutty kind of style. But this is named after. It's a French word. I'm not going to try and pronounce things in French. But the wine is named after a shepherd's crook. Because it used to be a hillway pass that they used to take the sheep through.
So it really is in the foothills, and we're not far inland from places like Biarritz down that bottom southwest corner of France. Can I have a look at this word for the shepherd's crook? Aiguillon. Interesting. L'Aiguillon. Okay, so an aiguillon. Yeah. That's a French word they didn't teach me at GCSE.
Some good language work for you there. Well done.
I am one of my textbooks that I bought when I was learning about viticulture was written in French, and you will be shocked at how many French to English dictionaries are of zero use when it comes to technical parts of a grapevine or techniques that you're using in there. It was ridiculous. So anyway, but yeah, this part of the world's obviously. As you rise up into the Pyrenees, you're getting a little bit more altitude, but it's quite a warm part of France in general.
It is. So there's not massive acidity in this. There's not. It's not a lot, and it's weird because there's a lot of words that we use when we talk about what people think great wine. It's like great wine should have good acidity, it should have freshness, and this wine has none of those things.
No.
It's not fresh, it's not crisp, it's not zippy. It's textural and round and weighty on the palate and nutty, and it almost feels a little bit old.
Yeah.
But it's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. What's the vintage on this one?
2020.
2020. So it has a bit of age on it, and you're starting to get some of those developmental notes on it, which is quite cool. But look at the amount of fruit that we're still seeing in that. Peach, pear, kiwi,
apple peel.
Yeah.
Those kind of things. And then that nuttiness, that almondness.
Yeah.
But I just think it's cool. It's cool.
It's really nice. I'm really impressed with this.
So they'll make this. You'll see 2 distinct styles. There's Jurançon Sec and then there's Jurançon Doux. So they make a sweet style of this as well, which is very, very rare, epically good, very, very expensive. But it is cool. It is cool, and you don't see much Petit and Gros Manseng really anywhere outside of Jurançon. There's you see a little bit in Switzerland. Yeah. There's one winery grows it in Virginia in the US. They do 100% Petit Manseng, which was the first time I actually ever tasted the grape. Was this Virginia one from a winery called Whitehall Lane.
That's crazy.
Was the first time that I tasted it. And yeah, it's fun. It's cool. It's interesting.
I think they do a bit of this at Tablas Creek on the other coast, don't they, as well?
Do they?
I believe so.
I wouldn't be surprised. He's very experimental, grows lots of cool stuff.
He does grow lots of grapes, but yeah.
Between him and Randall Graham, they must.
Oh, yeah. Google Translate on... do you know what? I couldn't even find the words on Google with an English translation, let alone on Google Translate. I could have given... I suspect maybe the... ChatGPT could have had a go at it these days. But here is a fun, interesting fact about ChatGPT and the French, since we are talking about France. Now, in French, the letter G is pronounced G, And so Chat GPT would be Chat GPT. Unfortunately, Chat means cat, and GPT means I farted. So this is like an admission of guilt to your pet cat.
You are really on tangent.
I'm really on
I thought I
tangent
did the
here,
tangent. Yes, it is a 50-50 blend.
Yep.
Yeah, half and half.
Half and half. But what do you guys think of this one? I mean, is this a wine that we want to have with food?
I think it is. I think it needs to have food, because it's not got that acidity. You know, when you have a glass of wine, you want that acidity, that refreshing on the palate that makes you want to go back for another glass. This is kind of, it's, and I mean this in a positive way, but it's a difficult drinker. A bit like,
Okay.
but you know, if you have like
You're a difficult drinker.
But you know, if you have like a young Barolo, that you have half a glass of it, and you're like, okay, I'm done. Palate fatigue kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you go, well, I need some some veal and some tartufo to get through some more Barolo. I think that's this kind of wine. So it needs to have, I think, food with acidity to build the full palate.
I'd love to be able to try that now. So if anyone's got any kind of lemon juice to hand,
just drop
over
it
something,
in.
or just drop it in. No. I mean, that's one of the fun things about, and we've talked about this countless times, about how the food changes the perception of the wine. But having a high acidity food to go with, we've talked about it the opposite way around an awful lot. So having a high acidity wine to go with a fatty
to
food
cut through the fattiness.
But this way. So with the acidity there, would that enhance the fruit? Would it subdue it?
Absolutely. So you have that acidity from the fruit that will add freshness to the palate, which will enhance the fruit and the flavours.
Okay.
So you either want to have some acidity or some salinity. So seafood with a touch of lemon would be perfect just to lift everything up with this.
That sounds nice to me. I would like to try that. I'm quite hungry. I wasn't.
I'm too hungry.
I'm too hungry.
Alex is going to go for lunch now. Still late lunch.
But yeah, this is a part of the world I haven't explored that much. We've done quite a bit just to the sort of the east of this, and the sort of the land of the Cathars, where
we've done a lot of Languedoc, a lot of Southern Rhone, a lot of Provence. So you come up and you kind of take that bend round the south of France, don't you?
Yeah, and we are going to be going that way, but you don't have to go too far to get into sort of northwestern Spain, and I think there's some stunning wines around there as well. So, yeah, a region which doesn't get much attention here in the UK, and I will be seeking it.
Yeah, but it's also I think it's a grape that people go, what the hell is it? Because it's two grapes, but and I don't know if anyone wants to chime in on the chat, but
both Jones does some good ones.
Both Petit Manseng and Gros Manseng, they're kind of a law unto themselves. It's not like you can say, oh, this grape's a bit like this or it's a bit like that.
Kathy doing the experiments for the team, fantastic. Makes it more herbal. Now that's cool. That's a really interesting discovery, isn't it? So how about that? I love these unexpected little things that you come out. But this part of France, it is very kind of bushy, gorsy. There's lots and lots of very rugged kind of plants around. And so you certainly see that with the Garrigue in Provence, but there's this band of it that sort of goes across. And I wouldn't be surprised if we were getting a little bit of the kind of influence from the herbaceous sort of plants around the vineyards going into it.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff grown in that part of the world, and not dissimilar to how you get the eucalyptus from Australia and what, because people go, oh, why does it taste like that? I'm like, because the sap comes out of the plants and lands on the grapes.
Picks it up and paints the grapes with it.
Struth.
Yeah,
right.
But don't take my knowledge. Why? So. Shall we move on to wine number 3? Because we have been quite white heavy over the last few tastings, because we did England and Austria
and Riesling.
So we wanted to make up for this, and we've gone a little bit red heavy tonight.
So I'm hoping everyone was smart enough at home, because we're going through our brandings. So we're going to go away from numbers, and as we use the rest of the numbers up, will have
a label on the back.
a label on the back.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping you gathered that you had 1, 2, blank, 4, 5, 6. We're all smart enough to know what wine number 3 is.
Yeah, there's a little bit of an IQ test to follow on that one, but yes, this is indeed wine number 3, and we are going to Bégude.
Domaine de la Bégude, so in Bandol, and this is the 2019 vintage, so a little bit of age on it.
Nice. Okay.
A little bit of age. And Bandol is famous for its rosés, really.
Yeah.
And what I've always liked about Bandol rosés is they've been left behind a little bit in French rosés for the popular opinion. Do you want to move the tasting notes on?
Yeah. I can do that.
The popular opinion is
Bandol Rouge.
Yeah, exactly. The popular opinion is Provence.
Provence,
it?
Yeah.
Provence is light, and people think, for it to be a good rosé, it's got to be light and taste of nothing in a pretty bottle. Sorry.
Say what you really mean.
And Bandol has this kind of like darker kind of oomph, but still dry, but flavorful, and it's cool rosé. But we're not going to give you that.
No,
we're going to give you.
Provence historically had a lot of red wines, and you look at the grape varieties they have planted there. There's an awful lot of them are red grape varieties.
By the way, I just want to put this up because this needs to be your new mantra, Alex. All right. So why, Alex?
Great.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much, and we'll keep that. We'll keep that note for a long, long time.
All right.
Why?
All right.
Yes.
Okay.
So anyway, this is a blend of mainly Mourvèdre, 90% Mourvèdre, and then a little bit of Grenache. And what's interesting? So Mourvèdre is obviously the French grape you find in Côte d'Or, Châteauneuf de Pape. It's got a few synonyms around the world. You'll find it in Spain as Monastrell. You'll find it in Australia as Mataro. But there's a lot of people in Bandol are referring to it as Monastrell.
It's just bizarre, isn't it?
And I don't have the answer for this, but where my theory is, when it's Mourvèdre, it's generally earthy and textural and very old worldy.
Yep.
And especially when you look at places like Jumilla in the southeast of Spain, the Monastrell is fruity and jammy and more primitivo-y in
which
style.
Which is an incredibly popular style.
Which I'm not saying this is primitivo by any stretch of
but
imagination.
It's got that
but this is more
richness on
this
the
is
nose.
more fruity and jammy than any kind of Châteauneuf de Pape you're going to find.
I wouldn't have placed that in Provence, that's for sure, if I was trying to taste that. See what it says. So if the notes do say 100% Grenache, that's wrong. Sorry about that. So yes,
is that a typo? Yeah,
that's a typo. Predominantly,
I didn't move my box down, so it's the Mourvèdre lines disappeared. It just says Grenache.
So guys, really sorry. We're in the middle of Advent calendar season, which for us is the busiest time of year, and it's been a little bit crazy.
It's 90% Mourvèdre, 10% Grenache.
Yeah. Just on the note, for those of you who have ordered Advent calendars, thank you for your patience. They will be shipping Friday. So
Friday feeling.
There might be a few going out tomorrow, but the bulk of them will be...
The collection is booked for Friday.
Collection is booked for Friday. So that's going to be super exciting.
So they'll start arriving over the weekend, Monday, Tuesday. Plenty of time.
And apologies to those who missed out this year. I know we had a few requests, but if we do find that we've got a few left over, we will get them on sale ASAP, but it's not looking very likely at the moment. So, yeah. So, what do we think of this wine? Very well-rounded, lovely string. Yeah, it's really benefiting from that age. The fun thing about, these regions of Provence is that they get, obviously it's a really hot part of France. Incredibly hot. This is where people go on holiday to go and sun on the beach. Bandol isn't up into the mountains like in quite the same way that some of the Provence rosés are, and the Appalachians. But it does get obviously the moderating influence from the Mediterranean Sea, which it's really close to. So you've got a really interesting combination of things going on.
Yeah, it's bold, it's rich, it's. I'm going to stop saying textural because that seems to be my word of the night. I think if we're playing bingo at home, how many times Jamie said textural? But sometimes that's the thing, you get in a groove with wine tasting words and you go, that's my new thing. But yeah, leather, pepper, cherry. Yeah,
I'd say it feels more old worldy than perhaps I was expecting from when I smelled it. When I smelled it, it was almost like that kind of Zinfandel Primitivo-y jamminess. But then when you eat it,
it's a bit more dusty, a bit more
dusty.
Yeah.
You've certainly got a little bit of those kind of tertiary things like meat and earth and pepper than I would have expected from that sort of wine. But based on just what it smelled like. Very cool. Interesting. Yes, we will be getting on the case with some truly awful
The costumes are on the rack, ready to go.
Phileas Fogg eats your heart out. Yeah, we were trying. We were threatening to rope in.
Ian's like, I don't even want an advent calendar. I just want to log in for the videos.
Yeah, we are doing the videos again. Indeed.
Right, Ian, you want to guest star in one?
Oh, that's sad. How well? On the flip side, you're spending Christmas in Australia, which is sounds quite fun on a scorching summer's day. But I'm really looking forward to it. We have one of the wines that we've debottled and the dishes is as we travel through India, we will be visiting the winery of Junoon or Janoon. I don't even know how it's pronounced yet. Janoon, but it's kind of an apostrophe. But I think it's the heaviest wine bottle I've picked up in a very, very long time. The bottle alone, with no wine, it weighed more than 1 kilogram of glass. It's definitely not the environmentalist's choice for,
but it's very,
very premium feeling, and obviously it's got lots of sort of gold on it, and it's actually, ironically, I think it is the most expensive wine that we were doing, which is hilarious. But I'm looking forward to trying that. We have got some really cool regions we're going through. We're not doing Provence.
No, we're not. We're doing Burgundy, aren't we, for France?
Yeah, we were taking slightly more northerly routes through France into Germany and Austria. What would we eat with this? Because I think this is kind of grilled meats territory.
This is lamb chops.
Lamb chops. Oh, nice.
Lamb chops.
Done on a barbecue.
Or going into winter like an ossobuco kind of thing.
Ooh, okay.
It's kind of weird, isn't it? Because we talk when we talk about food and wine pairings, we say something, and then we look out the window and go,
"It's bloody cold."
It's bloody cold. But when we're eating this, we don't go and sit outside in that weather. So why can't we have a light spring kind of dish with something?
Good point.
Yeah, it's really weird, isn't it? You go, that'd be great with some barbecue stuff. And I go, barbecue. It's not the right weather for a barbecue. But it absolutely is. It doesn't matter. You can grill the stuff. It's okay.
Excellent. I love specifically Tenerife. There's probably a good few nude beaches around Provence as well.
More tannins than...
Yeah.
Do you know what? There's things that I'm like... I make the jokes around here, but I like that. Great, I like that a lot.
Fire up the barbie. Definitely fire up the barbecue. Get some grilled meat on it. I like that kind of cooking from around that part of the world as well, and it's definitely another bit of proof of what grows together goes together.
And you've got that herbaceousness in there, so you have that lamb cutlet with the rosemary, with that, or with mint or something like that. You know, with those local herbs that you find from Provence.
Do you know, I'm going to say something really dumb, and you're probably going to disagree with me, but I would quite like a glass of this with some bouillabaisse, like a really rich. Like those hearty tomato-based fish soup kind of things, fishy stew that
Okay.
just punches you in the face with flavour, and for me is always just a little bit too forceful to go with a white wine. So I might give that one a try.
You give that a try. Let me know how it goes.
I'll let you know how it goes.
I see where you're coming from, but my concern would be,
Yep.
like a tomato-based seafood stew. The amount of acidity
Mhm.
that comes out of that tomato might be overpowering against the tannins. Too much acid
Quite
and
possible.
tannins too much. But we should try it.
Acid helps cut through tannins, though, doesn't it, as well? So, well, I'll give it a go. I certainly had some, like, that's one of those kind of dishes that the more rustic it is, for me, the better. I just want it to, like, go, "Gah," that kind of thing.
Rustic.
Rustic, yeah. So, where are we going next?
Rhone.
Rhone. So not too far. So we're going...
When in Rhone.
When in Rhone. Oh, my God. 4 years. 4 years we've been doing...
And it's the same old gags. Same old gags.
Yep.
But just, what can I tell you? What has been amazing so far?
Notes.
We've gone with some kind of weird wine so far. But this might be...
That's one of the coolest.
For the first 3 wines, the most complex level of tasting notes across the first half of the tasting I think we've ever done.
Yeah, I absolutely get that kind of like just that
beefy,
yeah.
Yes, I like
Excellent.
that. I like that.
But
idea.
yeah, also those kind of dried fruits, the dried pruny kind of things that's going on there. A bit of tobacco and leather for sure, giving you all of the indication that this is something that's had a bit of age and was pretty punchy to begin with on the tannins. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, well, onto the Rhone. So this is a river. Just to be clear. Comes from a...
River is a dancer. Okay. You're not allowed to talk about the winds because that's in the quiz. Don't ruin that one as well. Okay.
Yeah. I will not mention that. No.
No, and do not do a Monty Python sketch either.
Rhone, I'm going to confess this. Whenever I would buy Rhone wines, I would always just buy a Côte du Rhône, or if I was feeling fancy, I'd buy a Châteauneuf du Pape, which is a fancy Côte du Rhône, basically.
Yes.
I did not explore the villages, and I did not explore the northern part of the Rhone so much at all. So I'm still on a bit of a learning journey of all of this, and finding these meaty Syrah kind of
absolutely.
things.
So your main differences are
Let's move the tasting notes.
Northern Rhone, generally single varietal.
Yep.
Syrah based when it's red, Viognier based when it's white.
Mm-hmm.
Southern Rhone, generally blends.
Yep.
Generally Grenache, Syrah, Mourvedre based when it's red, and Marsanne, Roussanne, Claret, Blanc, Grenache Blanc when it's white.
Yeah,
it's kind of what you're looking at. So this is Domaine Les Alexandrines. We did earlier in this year. We did their Viognier, the La Cabanon.
Oh, okay.
So he looks in surprise. Did we?
Did we?
We've done so many of those wines, which just a very kind of like lush, fruity, aromatic, very easy drinking.
Yeah,
wine.
I really like those Rhone white blends, and I think again it's one of the things that I've been finding in the sort of southern part of California, where these guys that we were talking about earlier have been doing such cool things. Some of my favorite American whites have come from that region as well. It's just really interesting. It just stands out so much. But so this is 100% Syrah.
100% Syrah. So your most famous region in the Northern Rhone for 100% Syrah is Hermitage.
Hermitage, yep.
To the fact that when Penfolds started making Grange, they originally called it Hermitage. So it was Grange, Hermitage. And then it got to the point that you were not allowed to nick other people's names.
Yeah, which is fair. That is.
So it then became Penfolds Grange, and it was a Syrah. But there's so many places around the world that take the Côte de Rhône or the Rhône Valley
Mhm.
as inspiration for their wine. Olifantsberg in South Africa.
Mhm.
I remember talking with Elisa, who's the winemaker there, and she's like, everyone else was growing Chenin and Pinotage, and we looked at this winery site, and I just looked at it, and it had the big pudding stones, and it's like, this just screams
Rhone.
Rhone.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's been so much. I think if you look for an area that has given inspiration for global wine growth, maybe second to Bordeaux.
Yeah.
People go, Bordeaux style blends, massive. But you look at the Rhone Rangers movement from the 1980s in California. You look at the Syrahs, and we grow. Australia was very Shiraz its own thing, but some people are labeling their wines Syrah. New Zealand, they make Shiraz and Syrah depending on the style, and
Yeah.
it's absolutely
You see it even in
amazing.
parts of Northern California, like Petaluma Gap, where you've got all this fog. As we saw, as we drove through it when we were driving north from San Francisco, just this. As we drove over the Golden Gate Bridge, just the way that the weather, you could see the weather. It was, and this is a stupid thing to say, but just how would you describe it? It was like these clouds moving in like almost like you're watching a stop motion thing. It was happening so fast, just pouring off the mountain into the valley there.
Yeah, it was fog.
Yeah,
but it looks like a waterfall.
Yeah. It was just flowing like that. It's just unbelievable. So, yeah, you find a few of the producers in that region are doing. They will call it Syrahs to very much differentiate it from when they're doing more sort of New World styles of thing, and they're very inspired by the Rhone. But this is the actual Rhone. So, what is the top tasting note that you should be looking out for with Syrah?
Pepper.
So, what is the number one tasting note that we see?
White pepper, black pepper. Which pepper?
Well, it's just pepper we see here. Oh, we got black pepper down there.
We got black pepper. We got clove. Yeah, white pepper's much more Grüne Veltliner.
Mm-hmm.
So Crows, and I think we did a Crows previously, and everyone yelled at me after I said this. But I said Crows Hermitage is so stylistically as it should be. Of all the red wines in the world, if I was in a blind tasting for an exam, this is what I'd want put in front of me. And then everyone was like, "There's so many different styles of Crows." I'm like, "Yeah, but Crows is Crows, mate. It tastes like Crows."
I'm glad you can do that, because I think I would be more at home with a Burgundy Pinot, because that's what I know and love. But
you might call it a Gamay though.
I wouldn't. Shut up. Dear God. Anyway, so Penfolds. What are Penfolds doing? They're producing a champagne. Oh, okay.
They're doing a new.
They've got a few. They're doing fingers in a few pies.
They're doing a new partnership with everyone.
I mean, they're doing cross-country, cross-vintage blends, which shouldn't be. I mean, that was the kind of thing that we were doing at Tree Winery, and
so we were the trailblazers,
taking inspiration from what we were doing. But there are ones which take in like some of the best grapes from Australia and some of the best grapes from California and produce blends on that, and it's a very cool concept. I really like it. I haven't tried it; they're too expensive.
But it's only extending, isn't it? Like you look.
Mm-hmm.
People go. And I'm going to go to California with this. People have single vine, single plot, single this. Yeah,
yep,
great. But then you have the other stuff. You have things like Synchronom, which is just pick some grapes from places. Orange Swift, pick some grapes from.
Yeah.
So what's the next thing? It's multi-state. That you go, all right, I can get the best from here, the best from here, the best from there. Then you can have multi-country.
Yeah,
why not?
And Champagne does the multi-vintage so well. Sherry does the multi-vintage.
And the question is, are you looking for something that is just delicious, or are you looking for something that has terroir and sense of place? And those two questions,
that's nice,
become your answer. If you're looking for a sense of place and go, wine should have terroir, that G4 whatever it is from Penfolds is not for you.
No.
But if you I want something that's cool with the best grapes made by the best people ever.
Then yeah,
that's for you.
Quite right, and it tastes phenomenal.
I've just got to make sure I've won the Euro Millions.
Quite. Yes, say hello to the Barossa from us. They have no idea who we are, but also it's a place, not people.
The Barossans.
The Barossans.
Well, we did do the Peter Labour Barossan for
That's
sorted
true,
food. We did indeed.
I've actually really liked all these, and I find French wines can be a little bit hit or miss if we're not careful.
When you pick them, but however, I picked these, so they're delightful.
I brought back one of my.
We could go back to because Jamie said so. If you want
Jamie
to,
said so.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. We went to Burgundy just after we graduated from university. A whole bunch of my university friends. We hired a house with a pool, and we drove around and took turns driving so the other people could drink, and it was phenomenal. And then we filled up my Volkswagen Polo with as much wine as we possibly could, and probably more than we should have done. Certainly, I was getting flashed at everybody because I think the car was going along like that on the way back. But I picked up the worst bottle of wine I think in my life. We found this wine that was a Bourgogne Passe du Grain. I can't provide a literal translation for that, but I think it means anything goes, basically. Just like chuck it all in. And it was less than €1 a bottle at the time, and it really, really wasn't even worth that. It was just horrific. And at the same point, I also brought back some Grand Cru Bon Mar, from which isn't
one should
horrible.
I drink today?
Which one should I go for today? Well, the answer was always the.
Are you saying that not all Burgundies are created equal?
Apparently not. No, the rubber stamp Burgundy, which at some point, well, I don't know. Maybe now it's a pretty good mark of quality, but there's still, I don't know. There's a lot of variety, and that's the thing about French wine, isn't it? You have to know a lot. You have to know all of these different regions, so if I'm picking up a Bandol, it's going to be mostly Mourvedre or Monastrell. I need to know that if I'm going to pick up a Jurançon, it's going to be the Mansains. I mean, that's a lot of knowledge to have to carry around with you, and I think that is obviously French wine's problem. It thinks it's also its kind of success factor.
You need to have a geography and law degree to understand it, because you need to know it's this grape from this place, unless of course it fits that category, and then it's this grape, and therefore it's that, and therefore it's this.
Yeah,
and it's difficult. It's difficult that you go, Loire. What's Loire? And people go, oh, it's Sauvignon Blanc, except when it's shedding. And then that shedding has to be dry, unless it's from here where it has to be sparkling, unless it's then red, and therefore it's now Pinot Noir. But this particular region is Cab Franc. And Cab Franc and Pinot Noir taste slightly different.
Do you know what I do? I just ask the waiter to recommend something when I'm over there. I'd say,
you like this?
Garçon.
Yeah.
And
you're that kind of person.
Alternatively, they will put down a jug of a litre of the house wine in the middle of the table, and it will be fine. It will be delicious.
See, this is where you've gone wrong. This is where you go wrong. Why do you drink this wine? Because Jamie said so. I'm dining out on this for life. Okay, I'm done. Anyway,
your wife's going to love that one.
Should we have a quick last look?
Yeah, let's have a last look at
that. But once again, a lot of these
primary,
lot of these, not masses,
not much. Blackcurrant, plum, strawberry,
but a lot of the tertiary,
secondary,
the gritty flavors, the pepper, the tobacco, the dark chocolate, the more black pepper in there. Oh, there is. I said the gritty flavor. There is gritty in there.
There you go.
It's almost like I know what I'm talking about.
Stewed prince, wood smoke, and whoever suggested those smoked tomatoes, I think it's bang on as well. That's a really cool set of tasting notes. I hope you enjoyed that one.
I did.
Yeah,
I loved it.
It's nice.
I think it's a good, because when people want to bang a bottle of Chateauneuf de Pape on the table, this could be a swap out for something, a little bit different, and not, oh, look, it's in my embossed bottle, my Chateauneuf de Pape.
They relaxed that requirement the last few years because they couldn't
get any glass.
So, again, let's go back to the what would we eat with this one, because the pepperiness stands out, doesn't it?
Yeah. Steak Diane.
Yeah, I could do that. Yep, absolutely.
Steak Diane, or you could go
a mushroom
risotto. Yeah,
would be great with this. I think
mushroom risotto with extra pepper on it.
Pepper,
extra pepper. That would be good. Anything with truffle would be quite good, actually.
No, I'm thinking of, and I can't remember what it's called. What's the
Goulash?
No, not goulash.
Oh,
stroganoff. Stroganoff would be great with that because it has got enough. But steak, yeah, it's like lots of steak. Steak.
No mistake about that.
And yes, Kathy, while you're in Barossa, pick us up some Shiraz. That sounds good. Excellent.
Goon bag of Shiraz.
A goon bag of Shiraz.
That's what the world needs.
Oh, I don't know if I've said this, but when we announced our, you may have seen that we've renamed our company from the online tasting company to EcoSet because while we love doing our online tastings, we have the online wine tasting club. And this is it, but we're also packing up wine for other people, and it's primarily most of the business we do is packaging these days. When I first shared pictures of our packaging we'd come up with, an Aussie friend of mine goes, "Oh, mini goon bag, genius, mate." That's just one of those moments. I was like, I'd never heard the expression goon bag before.
Well,
but it's sometimes people ask us why we don't have a little screw cap on it or a little valve like you do on the on a bag and box. And the answer is that as you make the portion of wine smaller, it becomes a lot harder to protect because moving from 750 ml to 100 ml, you have 7.5 times less the kind of protection that wine would have. And that means you have to be 7.5 times better than a glass bottle with a cork to protect it. If you put a plastic cap onto the top of our pouch, does anyone want to have a guess at how many times worse the oxygening rate is?
Oh,
so
this has got nothing to do with French wine tasting.
It doesn't, but it's interesting. So
to who?
So because occasionally people see these things, the little plastic pouch with a plastic cap on top, and go, "Why don't you have that?" It's like there's a reason. So anyone wants to guess the multiplier for how much more oxygen gets into one with a plastic cap than into our containers? Drop it in the chat, and I might feel generous.
42, because that's the meaning of life.
42 is indeed the meaning of life, but it's not
also
the
wrong.
right answer.
Anyway, numero cinco. That was also got nothing to do with the French wine tasting, does it? Numero cinco. Have you moved this on? Have you moved this tasting on already?
I believe I have. Yes.
Look at that wild sage.
Napoleon Minervois. Okay. So, a Carignan.
So this is named after where it's made. Nothing to do with Napoleon. It's just on Boulevard Napoleon. That's where the winery is.
Okay.
So this is made by, and I first got into this this guy's wine with our friends at Naked Wines, and we've done a few of his wines. This is the winemaker is Benjamin Darnaud.
Oh, okay.
Who makes lots of very, very...
We've packed up, I think, a few of his wines for the Naked Advent calendar this year.
Absolutely. So these wines, the vineyards are really cool. So we're in Minervois, we're in the Languedoc, but these vineyards are on these terraces. So you go up a little bit, flattens on up a little bit, and these stone wall terraces that go up. Really cool to see. So it all has to be hand harvested because it's a bloody nightmare to get around these terraces.
So Carignan, I mean, other than making an obvious joke about old 1970s films, which I'm not going to do, but
can I tell you what was really worrying? That is exactly what was rolling through my head to get out about Carignan camping.
Carignan camping, yeah, exactly. It's if you filmed this one, it'd be a Carignan film, but yeah.
Yes.
Just stop.
No,
right,
but we're not doing that.
There are some things that are better left in the past, and I think the Carignan series of films is one, but Minervois wine is not. We should be looking at that. So this is a 2019 again, isn't it? So,
no, it's
not.
Oh,
sorry, am I looking at that?
No, ignore that because I needed a different text sheet. So you put me in trouble. It's just making assumptions on things. It is a 2019.
Thank you very much indeed. Magda, obviously a long-time member of our club, a wonderful, wonderful lady, and she has made such an impact on what we're doing. It's been brilliant. And Ray O'Connor, Master of Wine, some say that he knows a thing or two about wine, having selected and blended and made wines for Naked for the last, and done retail for the last 10 years. He was also a sommelier at Gordon Ramsay's restaurant, if you've ever heard of him. He probably got...
He's the shouty chef.
He's the shouty chef. I've heard. But Ray, he is a lovely, lovely guy. He's been one of our biggest supporters since day one.
It is 100% Carignan.
With Ray coming on board, we may well see if we can persuade him to come on one of these tastings at some point. I think that's a very big possibility. We might let him join us virtually rather than having to drive to Leighton Buzzard because it's a bit of a trek. But he's going to be helping
with us for 2 hours online.
Well, yeah, quite. He's going to be helping us out with all sorts of really quite exciting projects that we've got going on. Just to have somebody that good, there are not many Masters of Wine in the world, like fewer than 500, aren't there? I believe. So, we're really delighted. But yes, one of the big possibilities is that we will be starting to do again some of our own wines at last, and that'll be a really fun project to get our teeth into. So watch this space. 100% Carignan. What would you blend Carignan with? I'm just asking you questions. More Carignan in this case. Okay, fair enough.
So I like Carignan sat by itself. You see it sometimes chucked in with other weird indigenous bits and pieces all over the place.
He did indeed do all of the Naked Wine Club tastings. We packed them all up for them, and he was obviously very, very insistent and helped us make the process as good as it is to protect the wine. Some of the tastings that they did were on a scale that is quite impossible to comprehend for us. I think some of their biggest were like more than 3,000 people were joining online and doing the wine tasting, which is mad. This is a great set of tasting notes. Look at this.
Blackberry, blackcurrant, nutmeg, sage, olive, tobacco, candied fruit. Once again, it just shows a level of complexity of the wine.
Yeah. And it's, I think this one says that kind of wonderful balance of a bit of New World thinking going into some French winemaking. I'm intrigued by it because it is not a traditionally old worldy style of thing, but it's still got it respects its heritage.
Yeah,
but it's learnt from the rest of the world.
Let's see. There's notes in there. Goes with wild boar. Did I see that?
Yes, a wild boar. Yeah, I think that's fantastic.
I think that's great. I would have it with venison, but it's a bit dear.
you promised we weren't going to go into just doing stupid jokes, but okay.
No, just you said for the whole night.
Okay,
for the whole
night.
Right. It's done. I can see this being that wild boar ragu, like it's almost like an Italian dish, like on pappardelle with spice and just slow cook for like 100 years before.
I had the most insane ragu di cinghiale in oh god, what's the town with all the pointy ridiculous towers? Not Pisa, so it's only got one. That's lame. Somewhere in Tuscany. Anyway, just brilliant kind of Tuscan Chiantis with some pappardelle, like you said, and the ragu di cinghiale, the wild boar stew, just slow cooked. It was in the basement of someone's house, this restaurant, and it was just one of those amazing experiences where like you're going, is this the right place? And you just pop down and I had practically no idea what I was doing at all. I could barely speak Italian, and it just San Gimignano. Thank you, Kathy. San Gimignano. A really, really stunning hilltop town.
The acidity on this is mental. The acidity, it's like you have that. Just take a big sip of it and just swallow it and stop and go, holy moly!
Yeah, I really like that. I really, really like that. This has been
Poussin,
a good tasting. We've had some amazing tasting notes. Poussin ravioli, excellent.
Poussin ravioli.
Happy days. Yeah, let's do that. I went round to one of my friends' houses the other day, and you know when you get shamed by somebody who does things from scratch. Like we walked into the smell of fermenting pizza dough where he was about to make our own pizzas, and then he produced all of this own homemade pasta, rolling it out and pressing it. I was like, oh, come on.
Did you tell him he should get a job, maybe?
The problem is that he works incredibly hard and runs his own company. He's a lovely guy. I was just like, bugger, I'm a failure in life in comparison, but it was great.
Oh, but was he serving you wine out of eco-friendly
He wasn't
pouches?
No, indeed. Possum ravioli. Now that is probably what Kathy will be having in Barossa, I suspect.
Either that or quokka.
We are getting distracted. So, Minervois, what's the story behind this wine then? What's the kind of like? Who are these guys?
So, what's interesting? So, Languedoc's a bit weird because Languedoc is kind of a bit the Wild West, that you can kind of do what you do what you want to do.
Yep.
But then you've got certain areas like Livinere, which is then you can do Syrah, Carignan, Grenache, Cinsault, I think. So it's kind of, you dive into these little pockets in Languedoc and you hit Minervois and go, it has to be that. So, other regions in that kind of thing. So you go, oh, we're down in Languedoc, Roussillon, the whole south of France thing.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you hit Mazarin, where you have to be doing Tannat, or you hit Cahors, where you have to be doing Malbec.
Yeah.
But then the rest of it is just, fancy doing Pinot Noir? Pinot Noir. Fancy doing some Chardonnay? Of course you can. Viognier, anybody's game. So it's kind of the Wild West with these weird little pockets of, now you're here, you must follow the rules.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is that all about?
And so we're just within Minervois. We are just northeast, well, mostly east of Carcassonne. For those who have been to Carcassonne, you probably already love it. For those who haven't been to Carcassonne, you've got to go. It's just beautiful. It's like,
I'll go tomorrow. The advent calendars out on to Carcassonne.
It's the classic medieval walled town castle style thing. It's where they filmed Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, the famous film back in the 90s. And
did they not do Men in Tights there as well?
They did not do Men in Tights.
My favourite Robin Hood film.
Mel Brooks. So it's a brilliant part of the world for history, for culture, for wine. I thoroughly recommend going down and exploring the Languedoc and heading out into the wine country, because you find such wonderful variety, and you can go down just the west and go to Limoux and have some incredible value sparkling wines, like the Crémant de Limoux. If you find that on sale in the supermarket, just buy it. It's just great.
There's some good Crémant out there. Crémant is great. Alsace was phenomenal. I went to one wine and tasted 30 odd different Crémants. It's absolutely phenomenal.
Wow. The Crémant d'Alsace is incredible too.
Yeah, but it differs from place to place. Whether it's Limoux, Alsace, Bordeaux, Die.
Yeah,
from the Rhône, Savoie.
I haven't had Crémant de Savoie. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Crémant de Loire.
But that is, for the uninitiated, Crémant is a Champagne method wine,
not made in Champagne.
Yeah. But still made in France. And the grapes vary. If you're going Crémant de Loire, you'll probably have some Chenin in there. If you're heading to Bordeaux, it will probably have some Bordeaux varieties in there. But it's an underrated. I think you get all of the winemaking technique and character of Champagne. Generally more sort of youthful, fresh style, but at a much more accessible price. So Crémant, definitely worth checking out. We would have put one in, but we can't put sparkling wine into the pouch.
Oh my word! Sort that out, sunshine. Right,
one day.
Is it wine 6 o'clock?
This is well-made wine. I think it should be wine 6. Tom.
Wine 6.
One last look at this. I like the fact that we've got in there both a mixture of tobacco, candied fruit, and Vicks menthol. That's not on paper what you'd expect for the recipe for a delicious wine.
And cigarettes.
And cigarettes and alcohol.
But it is
As
interesting.
Oasis once said.
It's interesting that things that we put into tasting notes for wine don't sound delicious. Graphite, forest floor.
That's true.
I
don't
pencil
generally
shavings.
go around nibbling on the forest floor and pencil shavings, but for some reason in a wine,
Struck match.
Yeah.
Love a bit of struck match.
and it's one of those funny things. Like I tobacco for me always had a quite negative connotations, and yet when I went around a cigar factory in Cuba, I suddenly got it. And it was just this beautiful. So I was like, oh, that's cool. Yeah. How about doing half bottles of fizz? Well, we're looking to get in some 200ml bottles for WSET tasting packs. So there may be a few floating around. Maybe we can do some little mini ones.
Shipping is tough because it makes the shipping a lot more expensive.
Shipping's tough.
And it doesn't fit through your letterbox
It doesn't fit through your letterbox. And they generally don't put interesting wine into 200ml. It's generally speaking, it's fine. It's perfectly good. It will give you that taste of what a cava or a prosecco or potentially even a champagne.
Good for a study guide.
It's good for a study guide. It's not necessarily as much to talk about. So, but who knows? Let's watch this space. So I'm going to move this on now to wine number 6.
6. So
Le Bois du Self.
So
Corsica.
So when we were putting this tasting together, Alex turned around to me and said, "Could you?"
How do you pronounce that?
Well, no, he said, "Can you get any wines from a French island?" And I said, "Of course I can." He said, "Oh, very good of you." No, you don't like my Corsican pun. But there we are.
It's It's definitely the best Corsican pun I've heard today.
Twice.
But
anyway,
yeah,
so,
we Jesus.
So
okay, so I have not drunk much Corsican wine. I've not been to Corsica. I sort of get these kind of French Foreign Legion vibes from Corsica. I have no idea why.
So what's interesting about this is, so the two grapes are, and I will get any people.
we asked ChatGPT how to pronounce these, but we didn't actually write it down.
Yeah,
did we? That was
Nulissio and Scariliacue. But what's interesting about this is they're not particularly French grapes. The grapes here are much more related to Italy, and Tuscan and Sangiovese is where the link is
a lot
in
of
here.
Heritage.
Which is really interesting because the first tasting note in there is rose, and when we talk about Sangiovese and Tuscany, we get that dried rose petal kind of thing. So it's really interesting, and you look at where Corsica is, it makes sense that it would have lots of other influences.
Yeah, absolutely. Try not to die. Try not to die.
So, this winery first started in 1901. Did a little bit, and then it got abandoned. And 80 years later, these guys stumbled across it in the mid 80s, and it was just no working order. Couldn't do anything, nothing. So they've had to. Okay. So you can say it dates back to the early 1900s, but it's really a 1986 onwards winery.
Kathy says it doesn't feature at all in WSET levels 1 to 4, and indeed, I certainly. It's not a region that I knew much about. When you produced this tech sheet for this wine, I was like sat there looking and going,
well, as you can see, he screwed it up and threw it back at me. What is this? That's what we've got. All
right, okay, how does it taste?
And to be honest, this is also a wine that I didn't know very much about, and I tasted it. I thought it was cool, and I've got a tech sheet out. I'm like, this is fun to put in front of people. It might not be at the correct stage of the tasting. It might be a little bit lighter. Maybe we should have had it a bit earlier. but I kind of thought it was the most weird and wonderful out of all of them, and I thought it would be
Let's
the
say
one
it
to have
is.
at the end because it might build a bit more discussion in the chat. So
Yeah.
that's kind of where I went with. So it's a 50-50 blend of the two grapes.
What are you getting from this, other than obviously rose?
So strawberry, it's got soft tannins, really well integrated, beautiful soft red fruits. It's got almost like dehydrated strawberries, but it's just so much fun. I just think this is a really fun wine.
Here are here is a shot of some of the vineyards from Corsica, showing that it is actually quite a big mountainous place, and so you've got a lot of elevation change going on.
Oh,
and you can
absolutely.
see it right there. So this is rugged stuff, and as Kathy points out, Bois de Self is the French for the deer antlers, the wood of the deer, and. So, what can you tell us about how this was vinified? Because it's quite smooth, and it's like they've been quite controlled with how they extract that. And as we've said in the guide, you've got this. The winemaker has such an important job to do with extraction. This whole the 3 steps that we put down in our thing, our punch downs, as we call them in English, and
So as you
pigeage in
So-
French.
as you can see from the picture Alex just put up, everything's hand harvested. Has to be hand harvested because you can't get it out any other way. It's then crushed and destemmed, so no whole bunch in there.
Okay,
Concrete tanks,
concrete.
so
Okay,
all
so
in
nice and
concrete.
neutral.
So it's
no
all
influence on
about
flavour.
the neutral to bring
Yeah.
that freshness of the fruit out.
Okay.
And so it then sits for about 18 months on its own lees to bring a little bit of texture in,
Okay.
and then off you go.
So that's really interesting. You can concrete
and,
tanks,
and all indigenous yeast.
all indigenous yeast. Okay. Oh, I didn't get that. That's interesting. Doing indigenous yeast. So what we say in the steps as at the beginning of the fermentations, that what a lot of winemakers do is that they will add this sulfur dioxide to the wine, the sulfites, the famous things that apparently give you headaches. And that will kill off any of the bacteria and yeast that were just on the skins of the grapes. They then add in the chosen selections of yeast that they want to do the fermentation. Quite often, people will do, one tank with one yeast, another tank or barrel with another yeast, and they will do that to generate the complexity. But that sort of whole process of doing it, obviously, it controls it and removes a significant element of risk to your winemaking process, because when you're using native yeast, you don't know what is going to happen. You genuinely have no idea. It's a well, this happened last time. Okay, cool. Well, it might not happen this time. so something good could take over and start doing it, or something bad could start working on the wine.
But these guys are also all biodynamic.
They're also all biodynamic.
they're-
So what a lot of the winemakers will do is they will do something called the pied de cuve, and they basically crush some grapes and leave them in a bucket in the middle of the vineyard, just to catch all of those native yeasts and to start a proper fermentation going. Now that then gives you that selection of the actual yeast rather than the harmful bacteria that you didn't want. And so when you then crush and destem all of your grapes and put them into a big tank, you can put that pied de cuve in, and it will just give it a good start.
Good things going on.
It's going to be hopefully the right things that get going. And it can lead to vastly more complexity. What you'll find is as you analyze the juice as it's fermenting, at different stages of the fermentation process, different organisms, different microorganisms are doing different jobs, and that develops this incredible complexity to the wine. Because it's not just like I have a tank with this grape and I have added this yeast. Bang, one thing.
Yeah.
It's nice, it's delicious, and it's controllable. So it's a fun thing, and it's certainly a lot of the really good winemakers like to use this native yeast technique.
Absolutely. So, this is an indigenous grape. They grow some Syrah and Grenache as well, so they've got some international grapes there as well. But I just think it was a cool, fun wine. Tasting notes are very Tuscan, aren't they? They're very Chianti-ish.
Strawberry rose, and then I like the fact that we're going into those like Parma violets. Yeah, again, pretty Chianti-like.
Tannin, chalky.
Pine needles, I think, it's a really
pine needles and mint, that herbaceousness.
That herbaceousness. That's really cool.
So it's the least French wine.
Yeah,
ever.
That's true. That is true. It's a very Italian French wine made from quite Italian grapes,
which is kind of cool. So, should we move on to the quiz that we've given 90% of the answers away for?
Well, at least we didn't talk about
worst quiz ever.
Worst quiz ever.
Worst quiz ever. Quiz friends.
Okay, how do I do this? So, click.
Move that on.
Join the quiz. So grab your phone and get ready for 6 questions.
6 questions, of which we've given you all the answers, so don't worry about it. But anyway, what I need from you, lovely, lovely people at home, is we've only got one more date in the diary for the best of 2024. So basically, I want to know what you guys want to do next year, so I can start building out next year's tasting plan.
Yes. Sorry, we haven't had a chance to get on top of that one.
Where would you like to go? What would you like to see? Where would you like to be?
We definitely still want to get the Ukrainian wines one in. That's one that we definitely have on our list because, as we said, we met them. We just haven't ever quite managed to get the time to sort it all out. But otherwise, what regions have we missed out? So, have you got a personal favourite that you want us to get in there? Don't say you want a vertical tasting of Margaux because we can't do that for £35.
But if there's something just more weird and wonderful, do you want to do a variety and focus? Do you want to do 6 Chenin Blancs, or is that?
Do you want to really piss him off and do an entirely orange wine episode? So, it's interesting. We haven't done much natural wine largely because it's. There was a statistic that came out that more than 80% of natural wines have some level of official wine faults in them. And that is a really tricky one because when we open the bottles, we're like, what do we pour in? How much of this are we going to waste? Because each...
Anyway, let's go to the quiz.
We'll go to the quiz.
Stop being mean to natural wines.
I'm not going to be mean to natural... I'm not going to be nice to natural wines either. But okay. We are clicking on. So, question number 1. If it's sparkling wine in France, but it's not... what is it called? Or what is I called? Are you from Staines? Is it because I is le bubbly bubbly? Yeah. Okay. You'd better get this right.
Yeah. I didn't think we were going to talk about that today, but we obviously did.
Obviously we did, because we don't talk about sparkling wines. 86% of the people got it right.
Someone is a carver chameleon.
Okay, Cremant is the correct answer. Tab is
at 6 seconds.
Julia,
tied though.
A fraction of a second behind. How exciting. Okay, what is the name of the cooling wind that influences grape growing in the Rhone Valley? We had to pay extra attention not to say that. Now, if you have read Pete Mail's Year in Provence, you will know the answer to this.
Or if you've been on our Rhone tasting.
Or if you've been on the Rhone tasting, or if you've indeed got any
or if you're just
general
smart.
knowledge. It's Tramontan, Sirocco, Le Mistral, or Föhn. What is that? It's probably another wind, isn't it? I'm guessing. Le Mistral, correct, 78%. Very good indeed. We didn't give you that answer, so that's just you generally being awesome. Well done. Tab is still in the lead. Oh, Julie lost another fraction of a second there, but Kathy only a second behind as well. This is all good stuff.
That's very close.
Okay. What day is Beaujolais Nouveau this week? Yesterday,
seems like a
today,
Beatles question.
Tomorrow, Friday.
The day after tomorrow.
All my troubles seem
so far
away. And now there's Beaujolais Nouveau.
I should have cut that down to 5 seconds so people it would be quicker. I've got to get my days away. Don't know. What day is it? It's Sunday.
Beaujolais Nouveau is horrific tragedy that should not be inflicted on the wine
It is, in
world.
fact,
It is
tomorrow.
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 Thank
we'll
you,
drink
Annie.
it.
Oh,
Oh,
Julian
it's-
to the lead. Oh, that was a very quick response there. Very good.
Jumped in.
Okay. What is the primary red grape variety in Côte de Nuit Village level wines? Is it Pinot Noir? Is it Gamay? Is it Syrah? Or is it Merlot?
You're not being very helpful, are you?
I'm not very helpful. I'm me. What do you expect? It's been 4 years, mate. Oh dear. All I can say is I'm not drinking any effing Merlot, so that's that. It is, of course, Pinot Noir. Very good. Tab back into the lead. Oh no! Goodness me, this is tight. This is very
Like a
tight indeed. So, which of the following mistakes upsets Alex the most? Is it faulty wines being promoted as being natural? Is it wines from Beaujolais?
Do you actually know what the answer
Burgundy?
is?
Is it orange wines, just orange wines, or is it Jamie's stupid quiz questions?
That sounds ridiculous. There's nothing stupid. I'm hoping I've got the
Okay.
answer right.
Oh my word!
What do you think the answer
That
is
is
before you
tough.
click it?
That is
What's
tough.
your answer?
So I've actually had some orange wines that I quite like, and I go as far as I dip into this is quite nice, more than just I'd tolerate
Okay,
this.
we weren't asking for your
So it's
opinion,
not
really.
orange
So
wines.
what's the answer?
The orange is Beaujolais. It's Beaujolais.
It is Beaujolais.
I
Of
go
course it's
into a pub,
Beaujolais.
and I'm sorry, if you go into a pub and they're offering you a glass of Burgundy,
All right, back to the
it's
quiz.
not Burgundy if
I-
it's Gamay.
Okay, I didn't realise you were going to do this one question for half an hour. Come on, back to the quiz. Do you want to know? Do you want to know if they've won?
They want a vertical Margot tasting. Let's see if we can make it happen.
Come on, back to the quiz.
Yeah. Back to the quiz. Oh, okay, right.
Yeah, I know you got so upset about.
The leaderboard after 5 questions. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I only thought that was the last question.
No,
Okay.
we got 6 questions.
Okay. All right.
So why see how it says 5 out of
Question
6?
6. What is the most expensive bottle of French wine ever sold at auction? Is it a Chateau Margaux 1787, a Chateau Lafite 1869, a Domaine de la Romanie Conti, Grand Cru 1945, or is it a Henri Jayer, Von Romanet Croparentu 1999? I have no idea.
The winning wine
No, it's
sold
hard
for
to have.
£588,000.
£588,000 for one bottle of wine. I mean, that's got to be a good night drinking that. It was DRC.
Was DRC.
DRC. Oh, well, that's going to have shaken the leaderboard up a bit. We're only 22%. Yeah, intriguing. 1945. So a celebration year of kicking out Tab. Fantastic. Well, so other than the fame of being a winner of the Online Wine Tasting Club's monthly tasting, as always, if you would like to send us the name and address of somebody you like or don't like, depending on what you
What you think the quality of this show is.
We will send them a tasting for next month for free of charge. So email us at info@towtc.co.uk or info@onlinewinetasting.club, or just reply to one of our emails and let us know where to send it. But thank you all so much for playing along. That was great fun.
Should we pop to Wines of the Night?
Let's have a wine of the night, guy, because I don't know where the hell I'd go with it. Oxney Pinot Noir blend.
Oh, did I not change the last one?
So for Oxney
Sorry.
Pinot Noir blend.
Yeah, if you
Play
love the
it,
Corsican
lads.
wine, that's Oxney Pinot Noir. You can tell my technical skills. So Slido have changed their interface, which is really annoying. But anyway, while we're popping this in, next month we're doing the best of. For those who have bought, we'll see you next Tuesday for our Alsace Masterclass, which is phenomenal wines, absolutely phenomenal wines.
Yes.
This is one. Oh, you managed.
I just
you
changed
that.
the course.
Nice.
Okay.
But we've still got about 7 packs left. So yeah, next Tuesday is Alsace Masterclass supported by Wines of Alsace. For those who have been on before, you'll know that I went to Alsace a couple of months ago. So it's showcasing those wines will be a lot of fun. And then next month we are doing the best best of 2024, just some highlights of things that we thought have been cool. And then we will promise to get you 2025 going forward. Normally it will be good. Variations of Rioja, I like. Greece, we did a few months back, but we could look at that again.
We'll certainly be going back there because, I think we could do something quite fun. I think Eastern European is one that we definitely are overdue.
So I think there's enough in Eastern Europe that we could just do a country. We could do a Hungarian tasting, something like that.
Brilliant. Well, there's some lovely feedback in there, and we've had a great night. I hope you have too.
So let's have a little quick look at wines of the night.
Oh yeah. So wines of the night. What is the winner? It is the Cos Hermitage Syrah.
Just
very nice. Just
You want to pop the prices up so people can know how many of their wonderful pounds they need to split. So also, these wines are available. Buy them, want them. If you guys need anything for holiday parties, gifting, Christmas, all that kind of stuff, you want something in particular, pop me an email, give us a shout. We can source different bits and pieces for you. So if there's anything that you want, give us a shout. We'll make it happen. Okay. So it's not just the wines that are on the website. If you want to get something in particular, let us know. The more wine we can sell, the more cool things we can source. It'd be a lot of fun. So, but anyway, we've got the prices. We've done the tasting. I thought that was really cool. I thought that was a lot of fun. Because sometimes we do tastings a bit. Oh yeah, that's what we're expecting. So it's kind of fun to do a little bit different. But yeah, dive in and get an Alsace tasting if you've not got one, because that's going to be a lot of fun next Tuesday. But otherwise, we shall see you next month.
Or if not before.
And by the time we see you next month, you'll have got halfway through your advent calendars.
Yeah.
So we'll see you with that.
Brilliant.
But anyway, have a wonderful evening.
So much.
Thank you ever so much. We'll see you soon. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.